Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode after our slight delay of Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends. That's me. My name's Taylor Egger. With me always is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
Jake's feeling better.
Yeah, my voice is back.
So we had a week and a half off, but we're back at it.
Isn't that crazy? How long that lasted?
This is the show where we recommend things to each other, then we come back the next week to grade them on how much it is up our individual alleys. Right now, the score is 55 points for me, 54 points for Jake, close behind. Hopefully he's coming back from the delay stronger than ever.
Oh, yeah.
This week we're going to be talking about Jake's recommendation for me, which was the 2023 reboot of the 2003 show.
Yes, 2003. 20
Clone
years
High,
ago.
which is available on HBO Max, now just Max. And I recommended for Jake the 2023 TV series Bupkis, starring Pete Davidson, which we watched on Peacock.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about Jake's illness. Jake, how you been, buddy?
Man, I am so much better.
Yeah?
Yeah, this whole time I thought I just had a scratchy throat. And like the first time that I canceled on you, I was like, I just don't have a voice for it. Like I couldn't do it. Nobody wanted to listen to that. And then like the days went on and then it was... that's when I called you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to hear this.
Because it started out just like, can we not just do it tonight?
Yeah.
And then, like, we'll do it later on in the week. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. We'll do it Thursday night right before release.
And then I was just driving back from work, and I was like, I was just going to get some throat spray. That's going to solve everything.
Yeah.
And it didn't at all. So I called you, and I was like, this is me using my throat spray, and it's doing nothing.
Yeah, we got a couple nice comments on the Instagram video I posted of you. It's a very, very funny thing.
It was a wild voice. I could not believe that was coming out of me.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, you probably could have powered through it, but I would not have been able to take it seriously.
Yeah, for an hour?
I
don't think anybody...
just, made fun of you the entire time, basically.
We would have to switch to talking about Jordan Peterson points the enther time.
Let's not. There's enough people with podcasts talking about Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, we don't need...
Let's talk about, like, TV shows and fun stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, so we're going to release this one tomorrow. We're recording it on the 3rd. Tomorrow, when this comes out, will be July 4th. I figure we'll put this one out, and then we'll put out another one this coming Friday and try to get right back onto our schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Any big plans for Independence Day?
Yeah, my buddy is throwing himself a party.
Barbecue?
Yeah, barbecue, fireworks. He lives next to a lake and
all legal
bonfire.
All legal fireworks in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Everything's legal?
Above board, across the board.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Well, see, that's plausible deniability. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, I'm not a fireworks guy. I've never been.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy it's one day a year. I'm happy there's only one holiday that's like we have to do fireworks.
Well, they do them New Year's, too.
New Year's... It doesn't focus on that.
No. It's not like, hey, everyone, we're going to watch fireworks on New Year's. But people do shoot some stuff off.
Yeah, I'm doing fireworks. Yeah.
Yeah, at least it rained a little bit today, so hopefully
maybe it'll stop most people from celebrating early.
How many people do you think go to the hospital every year for fireworks-related injuries?
I'm going to bet in the hundreds.
In the country?
Yeah, if not thousands. There's a reason why there's some illegal fireworks. And it's because please do not handle these fireworks.
All right. So ballpark it, you're saying a couple hundred?
Yeah.
Okay, this coming up from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Yeah.
A new report showed that there were an estimated 10,200 fireworks-related injuries in 2022. Oh, wait, sorry. That was all year.
Yeah. Oh.
73% of those was 4th of July, so like 7,000.
Okay. See? Now
7,000 seems like a lot for one thing.
Yeah, if not thousands. That's what I'm saying. Everybody is like, we're just going to blow up fireworks. They're completely safe. They wouldn't sell them if they weren't.
It's not that funny. You shouldn't be laughing.
It's kind of funny.
Okay, so a little bit of a jump there. We are out of practice and it stopped recording after a little bit, and we talked for a little bit. Yeah. And so we're just going to jump back into it because we're putting out 2 episodes this week.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to make this shit work. So that's what we're doing.
I like that.
So yeah, we're going to jump back into our conversation previously in progress. Actually, hold on. I'm going to make another pause because there's one thing I want you to watch first.
Okay.
It's a 5-minute thing.
Okay.
And then I want you to watch that. So pause right now. Again. I'm going to leave all this in. Just a little peek behind the curtain. Shit. Okay. Hold on. We'll be right back again. All right. We're back in. We're talking about Bupkis. It's my recommendation for Jake.
There.
That's what we're doing. And
Why did you recommend it to me?
Perfect. See, we're back in. This is fucking flawless. So, Bupkis, just a little backstory. It's a 2023 show starring Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson's playing himself. It's a kind of an aggrandized version of his life, similar to stuff that we've already talked about, but you people have not heard because nothing wants to work today. And then I wanted to show Jake something to hopefully change his mind, because we kind of got into this, how it works. Spoiler alert, Jake doesn't like this show.
You don't know that.
Okay.
I do like this show.
Jake got...
You made it spoiler. I was going to surprise you that I liked it.
So Jake told me he got 3 episodes in, and I took that to mean he didn't like it.
Yeah, see?
So
judgy.
I wanted him to see something that comes in a later episode, so I made him watch that. But then my phone wouldn't play YouTube clips because nothing likes me today. And it's probably all the shit I said about America that also didn't get recorded. So we're in the clear for that. Bupkis, Pete Davidson plays himself. Edie Falco plays his mom. Joe Pesci plays his dad.
His grandfather.
Edie Falco's dad.
Yeah.
And it's a great show. I recommend it to Jake to try to turn him around on Pete Davidson a little bit.
Yes.
Because I think he's a little scamp of a guy, but I also think that he's one of those guys that, I don't know, you don't want anything bad to happen to him, but it feels like it might.
I'm kind of envious of him.
Okay, go on that.
It kind of feels like he's not funny to me, yet he's extremely popular, very successful, and very famous.
Almost famous by accident.
Yeah, and I can't find it, and I can't see it, and I feel like an idiot, and I feel like I'm losing touch.
One of those things where you're just like, I don't get this. Why is this a thing?
I don't get this. Like, with other people that I just don't like that are blown up, like, I get it, you know? Like,
there's a comedian like that with me now. His name is Matt Rife.
I haven't heard about Matt Rife.
So he's a really handsome dude, and he does like crowd work stuff.
Yeah.
Posted on TikTok, got really big on TikTok. Now he's doing like a big theater tour.
There you go.
I watch some of his stuff, and I'm just like, am I losing touch? Am I just not funny anymore? Maybe. Kids love it, and if you sell tickets, God bless you.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel that way about Pete. You're just like, I don't see it.
I did feel that way about Pete.
Okay.
You know, and then I watched this show, and the first episode, I thought, because this is definitely Pete Davidson propaganda. That's exactly what it is. He was like, I want to make a show that shows people that, you know, the type of guy I am.
Yeah.
You know? And of course he wants to be liked. So that's like the angle of the show. And the first episode, it started off, I was feeling like, you know, it's lowbrow and stupid. He ends up ejaculating on his mother.
Yeah, that's the first 5 minutes.
And I was like, and they were even doing like, did you ejaculate on me? I'm sorry, I ejaculated on you. And I was like, just let the fucking joke land. And then I was trying to move on.
Yeah.
And then like later, he sees his mom again, and he's like, "Are you still wearing the shirt?" And she's like, "I'm not going to change it." I was like,
it's pretty funny.
I was like, "Okay, that's a good joke." And then Joe
little
Pesci,
setup if you haven't seen the show. He was wearing his Oculus, didn't know his mother was in the room.
Yes. There you go. Probably should have talked about that.
Yeah, it wasn't like he planned it. It wasn't a jackass style prank.
He didn't know she was there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly.
And then Joe Pesci shows up, and he's phenomenal.
Great Joe Pesci. I love seeing actors when they kind of move into this older role.
Yeah.
And you see it, some people do it very well, and some people go like a little comedic with it. Like famously, Robert De Niro did it with Meet the Parents, was kind of his first thing where he was not the main character. I mean, he was a main character, but he wasn't like the tough guy. He wasn't that. He was the grandfather. He was showing
his comedy chops.
Yeah, and then he made a couple bad movies with that same thing, and I think he cashed a bunch of checks being like, what if Robert De Niro was Anne Hathaway's assistant?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
Here's $20 million, Robert De Niro, and he's like, thank you, I'll do that for 6 weeks and never think about it again.
Not even work hard.
No.
This is great.
No,
Scorsese makes me work so hard, guys.
You know how many times I have to say things for him?
And like, Joe Pesci is a very funny guy.
Yes.
And it feels like a kung fu master. When they age, they just get so good at it, they don't have to do much to be hilarious.
And it becomes, like, first of all, Joe Pesci, like, my first, and probably most people our age's first experience with Joe Pesci was Home Alone.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Which was slapstick. It was very loud. It was, you know...
And he sells it so good.
It was hilarious. But then you get a little bit older, you see Goodfellas, you see Casino, and...
You see that he's
Lethal
legit.
Weapon 3 and 4 he was in.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 is Chris Rock comes in, 3 Joe Pesci comes in. I believe.
I believe. It's been a while.
Probably.
Yeah.
Correct us if we're wrong, Joe Pesci fans. But seeing him go, and it's a lot smaller of a performance.
Yeah.
Like he's very, when he's talking, it's very direct.
You could tell. I think it comes from his age.
Yeah, it's not a slapsticky. It's not.
Yeah, it's not a slapsticky, but he's like he's clever and quick, like My Cousin Vinny style.
Yes,
but more.
That's his best movie.
Yeah, probably the one that I've seen
My
the
Cousin
most,
Vinny's
just because it's played on
better
Comedy
than-
Central all the fucking time.
I mean, they're not wrong. They don't come up with new stuff anymore. No one does. The writers are still on strike.
Yeah, and he's just he doesn't have to do as much on the scene. He knows exactly what to say, and he knocks it out of the park every time. He's like, you see that, you see these. He's talking to Pete Davidson, giving him a pep talk at the park, and he just says, you see that small dog barking at that big dog, and the big dog's like cowering away from the small dog.
Yeah,
and he's like, and then the big dog just barks at the small dog and walks away. He's like, you're just not letting people know that you're a big dog.
Yeah,
you're letting the small dogs bark at you. I was like, that's a really small part.
That's
and
a nice little
really,
grandfather wisdom.
Yeah, that feels really good.
Yeah.
When he said that, and by the end of the first episode, I was laughing at all the jokes.
Yeah,
it ends so abruptly where Joe Pesci's like, "Come on, tell me what you did. What's your mom? Why it's so awkward between you and your mom right now?" And his mom is like, "What'd you do with Grandpa?" And he's like, "I came on Mom and I helped Grandpa's friend fucking whore."
Yeah.
And it just cuts to the end.
Joe Pesci's friend, played by Brad Garrett, who's a recurring character. And that's what's kind of cool about it, since even though you only did get in 3 episodes, there are, and I think I talked about this, it was so fucking long ago when I recommended it to you.
Yeah.
But there are people that play themselves.
Yeah.
There are people that play exaggerated versions of themselves, like Pete Davidson, and then there are actors playing other people.
Yeah.
So like Joe Pesci's not playing Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Edie Falco, who I think is fantastic.
She's doing great.
I mean, it's just a toned down version of Carmela Soprano.
Yeah.
Not as well. She's Long Island or Staten Island instead of Jersey. But I mean, it's that same kind of voice.
Another woman that's just a fantastic actor.
She's so good.
So she falls into a comedic role easily.
Yeah, and I did like her in The Sopranos because she would have like little side stories.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, Tony's off doing Tony shit, and then it's just like, what's going on with Carmela? And I really liked all the Carmela stuff.
She's crazy involved trying to keep her family afloat.
Yes, in both shows.
And you could tell that she's, in Sopranos, that she's like had her fucking wits end on how to keep this going, but she keeps it going, and it's like she plays that off so fucking well. But then it was the second episode where he goes to the wedding,
right? And it has
his
flashbacks with Bobby Cannavale,
yes,
who's also
amazing.
God, one of the best actors I think working.
Underrated.
Yeah.
He needs to be in more shit. I love him.
You're not wrong. I love Bobby Cannavale.
But it's the wedding after his father died in 9/11.
Yes, so that's a true story. Pete Davidson's dad died. He was a firefighter. He died in 9/11.
And this is a true story. They show pictures of the wedding that he went to afterward.
Yeah, it kind of like brings it back to real life, where it'll show like clips from what the young actor playing 9-year-old Pete Davidson's doing, and then it'll show actual pictures from that wedding.
Yeah.
So
it's like showing you context of what's going on, even though it's probably exaggerated. But like it shows him acting up as a little kid, and that's like what he does, and like he enjoys the attention that he's getting from it, and it's building off of that.
Yeah.
And it's like that one's humanizing. That one's when I was like, yeah, Pete's doing pretty good. Pete's doing pretty all right for himself. And then in the third episode is when he decides that he wants to find out who's been writing all this stuff online about him.
Right.
And that episode is just very funny.
Yes.
From beginning to end.
That one doesn't, I mean, the first two kind of set it up as, the moral, like this is his family, this is what he's going through.
Yeah.
And then the third episode was kind of just, this is what would happen to Pete Davidson. That episode, the third one, reminded me a lot out of the 3 that you watched of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Because it's just like, what if Pete gets upset about someone posting online? It's a lot like, what if Larry gets into a fight with the guy at the coffee store?
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, chase that dog for as long as you can, and it just gets funnier and funnier.
Yeah, one of those stories, like one of the small things is like he finds out the house that the kid's in, and he's like, give me that spear, and the guy's, it's not a spear, it's a glaive.
Yeah, the Klingon glaive.
And then well, no, that's a batleth, first of all.
Whatever.
It's a glaive. That's exactly what they were talking about, and you didn't even pay attention to the goddamn episode.
I was busy laughing.
He's like, give me the Klingon sword. He's like, it's a glaive. Then,
what's a glaive?
A glaive is a two-sided blade. A batleth is a C-shaped blade with a handle on the back of it.
Oh, I missed you for 2 weeks. There's a nerdier version of this joke that I didn't get.
Yeah, because the rest of the episode, they just keep referring to it as the glaive.
Yeah.
You know, when anybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's just fun that they established, yes, this is the glaive. And there's just, fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing with the glaive? When he's walking up to the house.
And so that's another fun guest role of actors playing characters is his therapist is played by Charlie Day.
Yes.
Who is just one of the funniest people. Have you been watching the new season of Sunny?
No.
I'm like 3 episodes in. It's top tier.
Still good?
Sunny. Yes.
That's insane.
It's still
that show's
good.
Been around for so long.
Danny DeVito is one of the funniest people. Fucking everyone is just at the top of their game still on that show. Like 16 seasons in.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's great.
That is so amazing.
In the meantime, Rob McElhenney won some football championship in Wales.
Owns a team?
Yeah, with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that's really...
Which, to be fair, if Ryan Reynolds pitched me, you want to buy anything? I'm like, yeah, because he's got a top-selling gin. He's got a mobile company that was bought for like $10 billion.
You're going to have to put up most of the capital, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's definitely got deeper pockets than I do by a little bit, but he's got that sweet Deadpool money.
Yeah.
I mean, my check will come in.
Yeah. I'll give you...
Then it's on Reynolds.
I'll give him 5%. But the only reason that I haven't watched more is because I just had more things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 came out by the time I was doing this, and I was like, yeah, a lot of my time's going to be devoted to this.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, we're going to talk about video games on Friday's episode.
I don't mind. I like Bupkis. I really do.
Yeah.
It's not...
So you think you'll come back to it a little bit?
I give it a 2.
Okay. 2's solid.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's anything spectacular.
No.
It does change my mind about Pete. I'm not, like, resentful towards him. Like, I think that he's, like, you know, unlucky or just lucky, and that's how he got into this role.
No, he's been doing stand-up since he was, like, 15 years old. He's one of those guys like Chappelle that started ridiculously young.
He's actually very talented, very committed.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you're 30 years in, but you're a 15-year vet.
Yeah.
Like, he's been doing it.
He's been... You could tell when you get immersed into it, he's a very talented guy. He's much better than his SNL track record told me he was.
I think most people are better than they are on SNL.
Yes.
And there's another character in this who plays kind of an aggrandized version of himself. Comedian Shane Gillis is in 2 later episodes.
Oh, yeah?
As one of Pete's friends. And he plays, you know, just a deadbeat, you know, loser from Staten Island, but he's very funny. He has a very successful sketch show, Gillian Keeves, on YouTube, and then also on his website. He has like the 3rd best podcast on the Spotify charts and top comedy Patreon. He's just a really funny dude. He was the one that got fired from SNL the day after he got hired.
Yeah.
So he's someone that really got so much better not being on Saturday Night Live, because I think Saturday Night Live...
that's true. It gave him big exposure.
It gave him a chip on his shoulder, which is something that I think motivates a lot of people. I mean, if you're just given everything your entire life, you don't really have a struggle to work hard. But if you get hired and then fired within 24 hours, it puts a chip on your shoulder. You're like, all right, I'm going to excel and do better, and just to prove people wrong.
I've seen skits from him, and he's funny.
I do my greatest things out of spite.
That's very true.
No matter what it is.
I've seen that from you.
I will spite someone.
Yes.
So hard. But... what else? A couple other things you missed. Dave Attell pops up in one episode.
Oh my God!
He's just playing a homeless person.
He's got to be really.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Staten Island royalty. Method Man is in one episode.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and then
Dave Attell. Seriously, that kind of wants me to go back in already. He's one of my favorites.
He's in one scene. It's the same episode. If you want to just jump in,
I haven't seen him in a long time. I'd like to see him again.
He comes on tour. He does this weird thing where he's not on tour that often, and he always wants to be like home every other day because he's got his mom lives in New York, something like that. But just one of the greatest comedians ever.
Yeah.
That's episode 5 that has Dave Attell, and it has Method Man. So that's worth watching. And then, so when you told me you only had 3 episodes in, there was something in episode 7 that I wanted to show you to watch because it's my favorite scene in the whole series.
That's what you showed me the video of.
And so that was Pete talking to John Mulaney. John Mulaney playing John Mulaney.
Yeah.
And it's him, you know, we talked about him with his special a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Famously just got out of rehab, and Pete's going into rehab in the show, and it's just a very good scene.
You can tell that that's very honest. They're having a very honest conversation with each other.
It's well written, and I think it's...
Oh, you thought it was written?
Well,
I think it was pointed, but I don't think
Mulaney
it was.
probably punched it up a little bit.
I think it was pointed. I don't think it was written.
Like Curb. I mean, it gave you just like...
they knew what they were going to talk about.
Right.
And then...
it's going to be funny. Mulaney's one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yeah. But it was very
And I think that was great because that kind of gave... it was an insight to, I want to see how these two people react. Like, if you could be a fly on the wall between those two people talking, I'd want to sit and watch it. And I think it gave you a very... When you're looking into the life of somebody... I mean, all the stuff with his mom... Great. I don't really care about how famous people are with their parents. Like, it's just that's a little too personal for me. But I want to see how famous people react around or act around other famous people,
especially since they're really good friends.
Yeah,
you kind of want to see what their friendship is like because they don't seem like they get along, like they would be attracted to each other. But
have you heard about this book that just came out? I think it's called Last of the Action Heroes.
No,
it's Last of the Action Heroes. Yes, that is the name of the book. So it's just about stories and true stories from the last action heroes, basically like Stallone, Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and stuff like that. And it's just that peek behind the curtain Hollywood stuff that I love.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, and it's just like Sylvester Stallone hated Richard Gere, and it always hated Richard Gere. And at one point they fought over Princess Diana, over who was going to bang Princess Diana. Just shit like that I want to see. So that this scene is... really what I wanted from a Pete Davidson show.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do other comedians... And in episode 2, or 3, there's a great scene with Jon Stewart. Kind of the same thing. Jon Stewart's playing himself.
Well, I love the scene with him and John Mulaney because it feels very emotional and it feels very honest to each other.
Yeah.
What they're talking about. But do you remember that show that Aziz Ansari had on Netflix?
Yeah. Master of None.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he had an episode where him and his co-creator, they had their parents on, and they told their real-life stories of how they immigrated to America, and that's what it felt like to me.
Oh,
very honest, very real, but made for television,
Yeah.
I'm sure Pete and John had this conversation off screen, but they just kind of like continued it on screen.
Right.
Because it was... John talking about how he's not going to show Pete that he has a drug problem.
Right.
He'd never show
that's
him.
That's my favorite thing, where it's like John Mulaney says, how would you know? You want me to tell you how you would know if I'm ever back on drugs?
Yeah.
You won't.
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, that's fucking real.
Yeah. He's just being real with
That's
him.
a real honest answer. It's like, how will you know I'm back in my bad ways? You won't.
Yeah.
Until it's bad.
Yeah. So that's, that feels very honest.
So you think you're going to come back to it eventually?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's ever back or somebody wants to watch it, I'll be like, yeah, good show. Let's watch it.
Yeah. I think it was good.
Yeah. Definitely a 2.
If you have a free trial for Peacock, go for it.
Yeah, definitely try.
Yeah.
Good. For Joe Pesci alone, give it a shot.
Yes. If you like Joe Pesci, if you like Edie Falco, like I wouldn't call this the Pete Davidson show. Yes, it's about him and everything like that, but there's other, like Cameron's in this. Who doesn't like Cameron? J.J. Abrams is in it for a little bit. Who else is it? There's one scene with a priest. It's like episode 7 or something, and Charlemagne the God's in it. And I think Charlemagne the God's one of the funniest people. Like,
really,
for someone that's not a comedian and has never done like comedy. Well, granted, he's a radio DJ, so he talks for a living as well.
Yeah,
he's just one of the smartest, funniest people in the world ever. He had a show on Comedy Central that got
canceled.
Which sucks, but it's not where he's best. He's got a couple great podcasts, and of course, Breakfast Club. Like, I love Charlemagne, which we'll talk about some hip hop culture in next week's episode. Little sizzle, because we're recording these both today.
A peek behind the curtain, huh?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Well, we're getting it all done. We're very honest with our listeners. So yeah, okay. Bupkis gets a 2 from Jake. We'll move on to the next thing. Jake's recommendation for me, which was the reboot on Max of Clone High.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Clone High.
Yeah. So the creators of it, Phil Lord, Chris Miller,
and Bill Lawrence.
Bill Lawrence
of Scrubs and Spin City and Cougar Town and litany of other things.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller are popping off because they made Spider-Verse.
You just saw Spider-Verse.
Yeah. And I just saw Spider-Verse, the Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant and beautiful. And the show is also made by them.
Yeah.
Like completely different,
And also, Phil Lord and Chris Miller do voices in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So
it's fun to see that.
If you've never seen Clone High, it started in 2002. I pulled up. I don't know if I recorded the part where I said it was 2003, but that was wrong.
Yeah.
So it's 20 years after it came out. Initially, it was on one season on MTV or MTV2. Those were kind of the same thing at one point or another. I remember MTV2 started, and they're like, it's only music videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Clone High.
Yeah. But so it's an animated show. I guess I don't want to just quote the theme song
way
verbatim.
back in the 1980s.
Secret government employees dug up famous guys and ladies and made a music genetic copies. Now the clones are sexy teens.
Now they're going to make it if they try.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got Will Forte in it as Abraham Lincoln.
So the historical lineup for the reboot, because that's what we're talking about. It's Will Forte playing Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's Joan of Arc, which is voiced by Nicole Sullivan of Mad TV fame and a whole bunch of other stuff. JFK, voiced by Phil Lord or Chris Miller.
I can't remember. I think it's Phil Lord and the other one.
Yeah. And then this season, and Cleopatra, who was originally voiced by Krista Miller.
Yeah.
No relation to Christopher Miller.
Really?
Yeah.
She's in, like, a lot of Bill Lawrence stuff.
Krista Miller is married to Bill Lawrence.
Yeah.
Who's a writing partner with Chris Miller. That's weird.
Miller is a name.
I understand, but Chris and Krista.
It's Miller time.
Fair enough. I mean, you're not wrong. So in the new season that's joined in,
Cleopatra's voiced by...
Cleopatra is voiced by a different actress whose name is... I messed this up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But she does a good job.
Mitra Johari voices Cleopatra in the new season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they went with actual ethnic representation, which,
I like Mitra Johari.
It's an animated show. You should... There's no reason not to.
I mean,
I think Krista Miller voices the bad principal again. Yeah. So, I mean, she's still in the show, but it's one of those things where it's just like, you don't need to have a white lady voice Cleopatra. We can...
That's fine. Mitra Johari is really cool.
And then Frida Kahlo is a character now. Harriet Tubman, Confucius, and... one of my favorites,
Topher Bus.
Topher Bus.
Yeah.
So Topher Bus is the new character.
Took me a while. Yeah.
Yes. So it starts out there's this guy named Topher Bus who's explaining to Abe Lincoln how not to get canceled after they've been, because the clones were frozen for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he found out that his genetic person got canceled, and it's Christopher Columbus, but now he goes by Topher Bus.
To separate himself from his clone dad.
Which I thought was just hysterical.
That was a fantastic joke.
It's great. And Harriet Tubman is voiced by Io Edebiri, and she's fantastic. She's in The Bear, which just finished up their second season. They released all those at once. Did you watch The Bear?
I'm not going to watch that. That's going to give me anxiety.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But it's a great show.
I have no doubt.
She's in that, and also she's voicing April O'Neil in the new upcoming Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's a great voice actress.
Yeah, I love Harriet in this episode.
I think the new characters that they brought in were fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's sad to miss Gandhi. Gandhi was a lot of fun.
So the Gandhi thing was basically everyone in India was just like, hey, Gandhi's pretty important.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the other characters, Abe Lincoln, we make fun of Abe Lincoln all the time.
That's our JFK. Yeah, those are ours.
Yeah. I mean, Cleopatra's old enough where it doesn't matter. Joan of Arc, no one really cares. And then I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that people would be upset.
Who's going to come out and defend Christopher Columbus?
Nobody. So... Yeah, I thought it was a great reboot. I think as far as reboots go, this might be my favorite. I think it stayed true to the spirit of the original show.
Like 2 episodes, and then it was right back into how hilarious the first season was.
Okay, so the first season I watched not live. I watched it. One of my roommates, I think I said this on the pod, one of my roommates in college told me about the show, and we completely downloaded it and paid for it in 2006.
Hell yeah.
There was no Pirate Bay involved whatsoever, or BitTorrent or whatever.
We went on iTunes. And
then it was a show we watched a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I probably watched it through, 6 times in a year.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those great show.
Benji shows with just a joke a minute, and it's super clever and very fun.
Yeah. And I think this stuck to that, and it's just an absurd, dramatization of... I mean, the original one in 2002, it was really making fun of teen high school shows.
Heartthrob drama.
Right, your 90210s, your Dawson's Creeks, all that stuff that was out that time. And it's like, well, what if it was Abe Lincoln and JFK?
Yeah.
But this one sticks to that, and it brings in, what teenager stuff is like now, where everyone's on their phones, they're doing stuff for social media clout. Obviously, the whole episode about Abe Lincoln getting canceled, which is just hysterical.
Yeah, that was great.
That Abe Lincoln's afraid of getting canceled.
Yeah, Abe Lincoln's gonna get canceled.
But I think it was great. It really, I think they nailed it. If you make
Yeah.
a season of show 20 years later, not just like a reunion special or something like that, like I guarantee if they put out a new season...
They literally froze them at the end of the first season.
Yes.
And they just unfroze them.
Yes, except for
20
Gandhi,
years later.
because they eventually, like sporadically, they'll just cut back to Gandhi,
Yeah,
and he's
frozen.
still frozen.
That's pretty funny. John Stamos is still frozen, too.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of
I need
that.
to go back and watch the first one. Like, I haven't gone back and watched the first season. But
It's on Max, yeah.
there are some other great, just like I recommend the show to everybody. But
Yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
I say this for a lot of things. If it's not your thing, I get
Yeah.
it.
If you like the comedy in Spider-Verse, I
Yes.
would honestly say try this out.
Very similar. Like
Yeah.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller are smart.
They make
dudes.
the same joke in both the movie and the show.
Which one?
Topher Bus says, Lincoln, as a son of a woman, I think I have good insight on a girl.
That's right.
And Peter says, as a father of a girl and a son of a woman, I think I could give an insight on this.
Spider-Verse was great.
Yeah, Spider-Verse was very good.
Yeah. I think my favorite character in both series was JFK.
Yeah, absolutely. Steals the show every single time.
Horrible Boston accent.
No, when he breaks up with Joan and they have a funeral and he's humping the coffin.
Yes.
And they try and cover up and he throws off the covers. It's like, no, they need to see this.
Also, they gave a whole episode
Good
to
stuff.
one of my favorite characters in what you say, like cult classic shows like Clone High. There's Mr. Butlertron, who is a butler robot.
Yeah, calls everybody Wesley.
Yes, that's something we used to do. Is like that was kind of the in joke for people. Like you remember when Napoleon Dynamite came out in theaters? Did you see Napoleon Dynamite in theaters?
No.
So I saw Napoleon Dynamite in theaters with a friend of ours, and she and I were like some of the only people that had seen it. I mean, it got huge when it came out on DVD, VHS, whatever it was, and then it was like a cult classic, but it didn't do well in theaters. But there was a time where quoting Napoleon Dynamite was something that only certain people did because there was a 6-month gap between theaters and DVD release. So just little things like, gosh, like all that Napoleon Dynamite stuff.
Yeah.
It got played out, and then everyone was wearing like vote for Pedro shirts and everything like that. But that wasn't happening for 6 months after the actual movie came out.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like one of those, dog whistle things. Like, oh, you're a fan of this. And Mr. Butlertron was the one with some of me and my
Wesley.
friends. You just end a sentence and then just go, Wesley. And it's not really drawn upon in the first season. He just does it. Like, they don't really explain it. They have a whole episode explaining why he does that.
Mine with friends was, there's a joke in the first one with a campaign for class president against Abe.
Yeah.
And they're like, last year Abe said he was 14 years old. This year he says he's 15. Which is it, Abe?
Yeah.
Dishonest.
It was one of those...
It was just something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
today you're saying you're coming in at 2, but then you show up at 3.
Yeah.
Which is it?
I mean, it's just it's one of those cult classic shows, and I just think it's fantastic. I think this one holds up.
I just wanted you to watch it so that we could talk about it and be like, yes, it's very good.
Yes, it's great. I think everyone, if you have a subscription to Max, I think everyone would be pretty good to watch this.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Butlertron.
So you're going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I give this one a 3.
Hell yeah.
I'll give this one a 3.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they can't.
And it ended as a cliffhanger.
Again, yeah.
So hopefully, that would be nice.
It'd be really funny if they did it in another 20 years.
That would be very fun.
Yeah. There's an episode where they're going to like a Coachella type thing.
Yeah.
And they get stuck in the desert. I think that was probably my favorite episode because Principal Scudworth and Mr. Butlertron have this whole Vegas drug-fueled fever dream, which is just outstanding work.
The sex ed episode is by far my favorite with the semen, and they have this whole song about sexual education.
Kind of
in
play it
America.
off. See, now, since it's been 2 fucking weeks since I've watched this, I'm remembering that stuff like that now.
That song
playing off
killed
the whole
me.
sea shanty trend from 2 years ago, where they have men from the sea, the seamen, talking about
where do you want us to drop our load?
It's unnecessary, but very funny. It's childish.
Fantastic, and they just have a really long song about the sexual education system in
Exactly.
America.
Yeah, John Oliver did a bit like that before a couple years ago, where it was he did one of his long deep dives about sexual education. They made a video about it with like Nick Offerman and people, and it was very funny, very well done.
Who made this?
John Oliver on Last Week Tonight.
Oh, yeah, cool.
he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He's on strike now, too. Nothing's new.
Yeah.
Nothing's new.
That's what Mulaney brought up in Hot Ones.
Yeah.
We watched that Hot Ones.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Hot Ones guy?
No.
Not like the chicken wings, but like the show.
Not unless it's somebody that I want to see, like
Really?
Mulaney. Yeah.
Hot Ones is a weird thing because I remember when it came out and it was really just the show. Like, people were doing the show as a favor to the show. Mm. Like, you would get comedians that have a following. Like, I think the first ones they had, like, Tom Segura, Burt Kreischer, comedians like that, like, in the first couple seasons. Mm. And you would have, like, some NBA players, like, some mid-tier rappers. And it was really people being like, oh, we're helping out this YouTube show. It's kind of cool for that. Mm-hmm. Now you have super famous people on it. And it's like, oh, it's something that's evolved to people are going to Hot Ones to promote things because so many people, you're going to get more people watching on Hot Ones than you will on Jimmy Fallon.
Millions of views.
Yeah. And it's kind of a longer form conversation. They're all like 20 minutes long.
That dude is a really good interviewer, honestly.
Good. And his research team is top notch. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, he reacts like a robot. But I just wanted to see Mulaney. And I knew Mulaney was going to be funny and very... interesting.
I was shocked at how well.
Yeah, he handles
nothing against Mulaney.
Yeah,
but he doesn't look like the kind of guy that'll just cowboy face some hot sauce.
He handled all the hot sauce, and I just like it when he got to Da Bomb, and he was like, "That's just not good."
Yes,
he's like, "It's spicy, but the flavor behind it is bad."
Yeah, I like Mulaney.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, so Clone High gets a 3.
Woo!
Bupkis gets a 2.
Nice.
Jake might change it if he watches some more.
Probably, maybe.
Hey. Yeah. All right, so let's. If you like the show, be sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, youtube.com/upyouralleypod. Mm-hmm. You can send your recommendations to upyouralleypod@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @upyouralleypod. And let's get into what we're going to be getting into on this Friday for y'all. We'll release it Friday the
7th.
7th?
Uh-huh.
Are you right? Oh, yeah, you're totally right. Good job on that.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, nailed it. Good job counting to 4 before me, Jacob. Hope you're happy with yourself. So, Jake, what are you going to recommend for me next week?
I have an album for you.
Okay.
I want you to listen to an album from De La Soul.
Okay.
Called Stakes is High.
Stakes is High by De La Soul.
Yes, sir.
That's up on Spotify?
Yes. It's up on Spotify. Recently. They recently allowed their discography on Spotify.
Really?
Yes.
Good for De La
That
Soul.
was a wonderful day.
I hope they're making some money. My recommendation for you, which you've already watched, so I know, I texted you about this when you told me that you were going to miss an episode. I'm like, well, let's get next week's recommendation, and then we could probably record 2.
Yeah.
We tried to do that last Monday.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
No, it didn't work out.
So here we are now. So I gave you the 2014 Scarlett Johansson vehicle, Lucy.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
So when I sent you that text message, since now we're talking in the past tense, you're not getting it live. What were your thoughts when I said, hey, I want you to watch Lucy?
I thought...
You had to ask me, I think your first text was the Scarlett Johansson movie, question mark?
Because I was like, oh, I'm sure he means like there's
Clearly
a new movie
he's not
out.
meaning the Scarlett Johansson 2014
he
film
knows,
Lucy.
He knows that movie flopped and that movie's premise is ridiculous.
That movie did not flop. It had a budget of $40 million and it made box office of $469 million.
Yeah, that sounds like a flop to me.
So it
could have made
increased in money
billion.
by tenfold. What a flop.
There's no way.
So you
what
remember
was domestic box office? That's world. That's where they just went there to neck.
Fair enough. So you remember this as the movie. It's like, what if you could use 100% of your budget?
Yes. And immediately I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Looks dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
American box office was $126.7 billion.
All right. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
That's okay.
It's more than Indiana Jones made this weekend.
Yeah. That was $400 million.
So much fucking money. I still haven't seen it. I really want to see it. I might go see it tomorrow night when I'm done doing stuff at work.
Oh.
Maybe we'll talk about it 2 weeks from now because this will be post-dated again. So, yeah, you weren't stoked to watch Lucy. I wonder if Jake liked Lucy.
I took notes.
You took notes?
I had to take notes.
Outstanding.
About 15 minutes into it, I was like, I'm going to have to write down these things.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Oh, God, that's going to be a good talk. I can't wait to talk about it. We're literally doing it after this. So, yeah, be sure to follow us on all the stuff. Follow us on Instagram @UpYourAlleyPod. Send your emails to upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Jake, thanks for coming out. Thanks for talking with me, buddy. Love you.
I love you too, buddy. Thank you.